Available to users. Kudos go to both Moran and the Pollyant Trail Board for winning such a distinction. Moran reminds residents, with spring closing in, get out and use the trail and have fun.
The Association of Letter Carriers is asking people for mailbox donations of food on Saturday, May 11th, which is the 27th annual Stamp Out Hunger Mailbox Food Drive. Oxford and Addison residents are encouraged to leave canned food and other non-perishable food items by their mailboxes, so Oxford Post Office workers, along with volunteers, will collect the donations between 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. All of the food gathered by both the Oxford and Lake Orion post offices will be used to stock the shelves at the Oxford Orion Fish Pantry.
Addison Township resident John Powers is not an Olympic athlete, but he did bring home the gold twice for his brewing skills. 2 of the beers he produces and sells at a homegrown brewing company in downtown Oxford took top honors at international competitions. Homegrown has been open since April 2017. Homegrown's Oxford Ale beat out 20 other entries in the international lager category at the World Expo of Beer competition. The competition was on April 20th in Frankenmuth. Oxford Ale is one of Homegrown's 6 flagship beers and is always on tap. Powers called it a gateway beer that helps those who typically only drink beers such as Budweiser and Miller to begin exploring the taste of craft beers.
You know, I'm not a beer drinker, but I did, I think the Chamber had an event there, and I did taste their beer, and it's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm not much a beer drinker either, but you know, my wife, being part German, you know, she
has to taste it every now and again, right?
Right. You mentioned
very good beer.
They mentioned Frankenmuth, and I used to work at the Bavarian Inn when I was a kid.
Right.
Yeah.
So you don't, you know, I was thinking about that this morning. I know you don't like chicken, or you don't like fowl.
Right, fowl food.
So what do you guys have at Thanksgiving and Christmas? Does Carol have to make a ham all the time? Oh, there you go.
Nobody likes steak out there, right?
Yeah, no, steak is good too.
Actually, it's quite a story. My wife's mom, my mother-in-law, everyone would be eating fowl food, you know, on Thanksgiving.
F-O-U-L food.
And I'd be eating the steak. And my one brother-in-law commented, "Oh yeah, he's dumb like a fox."
Yeah, right, because you got the steak and they got the
Worked
chicken
out
and
great.
turkey. Well, I like turkey. Turkey's my steak, so I like it too.
It's a bird of them.
But you need to get out there and give that beer a try. That's quite a distinction to win that kind of an award. I have a cousin that brews beer and won one last year like that, and it was a big deal. So good for them, and in our own hometown.
Well, I got to tell you that if you can win this thing in Frankenmuth, it's a lot being said.
Right. Against 20 other candidates.
Yeah.
Golly, good for you guys. Yeah. Go give it a try. And that's it for Oxford News this week. If you'd like to learn more about these stories and others, you can pick up a copy of the Oxford Leader newspaper, or better yet, catch us on our website, occtv.org, on YouTube, and of course the regular channels, Spectrum, Channel 191, and AT&T Channel 99.
Coming up soon, OCTV's very own Cody Wright with school sports and schooling around, incorporating great topics with Alexis Ware. And you won't want to miss Auto Talk and Science and the News with Dave Kenny.
I'm Terry Stiles. Thanks for watching Oxford News This Week, where we bring your news closer to home.
And I'm Elgin Nichols. Remember, always be kind to your friends and neighbors, and thanks for watching.
Welcome to Science in the News. I'm Dave Kenny, and these stories are taken from the publication New Scientist. In our first story, extreme winds and waves have increased globally over the past 3 decades, exacerbating the flooding threat to coastal communications during storms. There has also been a small but significant strengthening in the average wind speeds and wave heights between 1985 and 2018 in some regions. Ian Young at the University of Melbourne and colleagues analyzed data from 31 different satellites, which provided a much bigger data set than previous efforts to measure changes in wind and speed and wave heights. They found changes were most pronounced in the Southern Ocean, where extreme wind speeds increased by 8% and extreme waves by 5% over the period. While the Southern Ocean may seem remote for many people, it is where ocean swells are generated, which influence wave conditions in the Indian Ocean, Southern Atlantic, and large parts of the Pacific. Those swells determine how stable beaches are throughout much of the Southern Hemisphere. Added to the backdrop of accelerating sea level rises, stronger winds and waves worsen coastal flooding too. If extreme waves are increasing in magnitude, it will further increase the impact of storm-related flooding events and also have major impacts on the erosion of beaches, says Ian Young at the University of Melbourne in Australia, a co-author of the study. Higher waves will likely also increase the rate at which ice is broken up, affecting the Antarctic's vast ice sheet. The observed strengthening in wind speed and wave height is what some climate change models had already expected. And still in the ocean, fossils of a mixed-up crab from the Cretaceous have perplexed researchers with their bizarre anatomical features. About 70 of the fossil crabs have been found in the Andes mountain range in Colombia, which was a shallow coastal sea 90 million years ago when these animals were alive. We started looking at these fossils and we found what they had looked like the eyes of a larva, the mouth of a shrimp, the claws of a frog, and the carapace of a lobster, says Javier Luca at the University of Alberta in Canada. We have an idea what a typical crab looks like, and these fossils break all the rules. The animal's strange anatomy has been preserved well, enabling Luca and his colleagues to pick out details such as paddle-like legs and bulging eyes, which suggest the crab spent more time swimming than crawling in the sand. The team have named the crab Callichimera perplexa, which means perplexing, beautiful chimera. In Greek mythology, the chimera was a monster with a lion's head, a goat's body, and a snake's tail. Callichimera perplexa is so unique and strange that it can be considered the platypus of the crab world, says Luca. And our last story. Most cat owners know the hopeless feeling of trying to call the name of their beloved pet only to be ignored or even worse, abandoned with a dismissive flick of the tail. An analysis of feline behavior has found that cats really do know their names, it just seems they don't care when you use them. Atsuko Sato at Sophia University in Japan and her colleagues wanted to see if pet cats could distinguish between their own name and other similar sounding words even when a stranger called the name. The team visited cat cafes where pets mingle with diners and also households and analyzed the way the animal's ears, heads, tails, and feet moved in response to the sound of various words. With the owner out of sight, they played recordings of the owner saying 4 words with the same length and accent as their cat's name, 15 seconds apart. That was followed by a recording of the cat's name. Many of the cats were likely to become accustomed to the sounds being made, so if they did really recognize their name, Sato and her colleagues believed they would see a different reaction when it was spoken. In the experiment, 11 out of 16 cats showed a drop-off in activity between the first and fourth word being spoken, suggesting they were getting used to the recordings. Of the 11, the 9 reacted again when their name was played. Cats didn't grow accustomed who didn't grow accustomed to the words, that is, were excluded from the analysis. When Saito performed the same test with a stranger's voice, this time 20 cats became habituated to the words, and 13 of those responded again to their own names. As for why cats don't always come when called, Saito says they just are ignoring you. Cats are not evolved to respond to human cues, says Saito. They will communicate with humans when they want. Well, that's it for this edition of Science in the News. I'm Dave Kenny. Stay tuned to Oxford Community Television.
Hello everyone and welcome back to School News. This past April 23rd Board of Education meeting had a lot of important information about what is to be done with the district buildings during the summer and the summer of 2020. All school buildings, including the transportation building, are having some form of remodeling and site work done. It's important that people understand the work being done is only being discussed at this time, but the actual start date is set for summer 2020. Between the elementary schools in district, they will receive playground improvements, repaired parking lot paving and sidewalks, LED site lighting for security, fire alarm replacements, and new classroom window covers. At the middle school, they will receive new window covers as well, replacement of domestic water boiler, replacement of sanitary and heating piping throughout the building, fire alarm replacements, HVAC control replacements, and interior LED lighting. Oxford High School is set for new carpet replacements in some hallways, quarter VCT with LVT replacements, new pool interior finish, new pool area AHU, and new window covers. The last school district building receiving improvements is the transportation building with the seam roofing being replaced and a remodeling driver's lounge, as well as toilet rooms. This past week, Oxford High School's girls softball team also received an amazing honor, receiving first in academics across the entire state. Take a look.
All right, good afternoon, and thank you for attending today. It is my honor and privilege as the Oxford Community Schools Athletic Director to bring some outstanding news to you today. Before we make our announcement, I want to thank OCTV for attending today, as well as CJ from the Oxford Leader, as well as everybody else who's here today. So, I had a chance to talk to one of our athletes the other day, and they talked about their day, how they wake up at 6 in the morning, and they go lift weights, and then they go to the classes, and they go to practice, and then they go and study. It's a pretty packed day for a teenager. So, before you here today is the best of the best. And they certainly are the best of the best because they're number one in the state. They were at 187 schools in Division I. They are the number one GPA in the state of Michigan. So they have a team GPA of a 3.8162, and they have 5 athletes with a 4.0. So that is outstanding, ladies. Certainly no other school in the state of Michigan can compete with that. So that's top notch. But right now, I want to turn it over to Coach Allen, who's going to answer some questions from our press here today. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ackerman. Ladies, this is a moment for you guys to enjoy, and we are just so proud here as a coach, staff, and the program to honor you. I mean, grades is where it's at, and you guys have certainly excelled on the field, with softball, and then with your grades off the field. So I'm real proud of you guys, very proud. This is a goal that we had set forward almost 5 years ago. We wanted to be the best in our school. We wanted to have the highest GPA of all the sports programs in our school. And then it started to grow. We were achieving, and then it became, we want to be the best in the state. And you guys did it. And this is just a start. So for those of you guys wondering if, should I do my homework or not turn it in? When you do your homework and you follow through and you listen and put forth the effort off the field, and you get moments like this and the media, from the staff and the players. Good job. I'm really proud of you. Is there any questions?
You said that you had been planning for this day for 5 years. How did you contribute to the ladies' success on the field and off, checking in on their classes?
Well, the athletic department here has really set a very high bar. Mr. Ackerman's leadership, Denine's diligence and following through. So we get everyone's grades every week. So we know how they're doing. And just that level of accountability. And also these girls are very competitive. And so they have a pretty good idea where everyone's kind of doing. And we don't hide grades. I mean, if you're struggling and you want to talk about it or get help, some of the girls have helped other girls with different things. And when the team can come together under one goal and not care really who gets the credit, we can accomplish anything. And today is kind of an example of that with them. So it's been pretty exciting.
How do you deal with it when one of your students are struggling?
We come together as a team. I mean, if one's struggling, we rally around and try to figure it out. Fortunately, this year we obviously haven't seemed to really have to work through the struggle parts, but down the road there will be some struggles, and it's building up the trust in each other, and to know that, hey, I'm struggling in Chinese or I'm struggling in math, and not to feel like you're going to get picked on or made fun of, but the girls can kind of come around you and lift you up. And I think we built that culture here.
Now, how does this bar affect you and your team and your future team going forward?
I hope it raises the bar for all of us in the entire program, again, as we have continued to do. We don't ever want to stay the same. We always want to get better. So we're at 3.81654. We want to maybe see if we can get it up to 3.9. But I also hope it collectively through the whole school and maybe through the whole league and maybe even the whole state sees what you guys spending time of your day to come out and honor these girls, and they say, yeah, that'd be cool if they could do that in our program, and maybe lift all the boats.
Okay. And last.
Congratulations, ladies, and keep up the hard work on and off of the diamond. Going into this week's school events, Tuesday, May 7th, Lakeville Elementary are hosting their Dentists Are Us all day, and OHS Senior Outstanding Obligations are due. Wednesday is the seniors' last full day of school and their senior breakfast and clap out. Leadership is also putting on their spring carnival during the day from 11 a.m. until 12:30. Thursday is senior commencement speaker auditions and senior exams at OHS. Bridges is having their senior clap out, and OVA is hosting their open house at 6:30. Friday is Bridges' last day of school as well as their prom. Leonard is having muffins for moms at 8 a.m. and right after are gathering for their pride assembly from 10:30 until 11:30. May 10th, OHS is having their prom at Paloozle, Grand, and Shelby Charter Township. Remember that all elementary schools have half days on this day, so be sure to check with individual schools about specific times. And that ends the school events for this week. Be sure to tune in to the Schooling Around segment Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. and 3 o'clock p.m. for recaps. Until next time, I'm Alexis Ware. Next up is Cody Wright with School Sports.
What's going on, Wildcat fans? Cody Wright back here once again for this week's Sports Report. We do have a lot to go over this week, so let's not waste any more time and dive right in. First off, the boys track team performed very well at the home invite over last weekend. With 19 teams competing, the boys tied for second place with Farmington at 57 points. Scott Matterson took first place in the 100-meter run, and the boys relay team also took first place in the 4x400 meter replay. The team consisting of Shane Ross, Logan Coughlin, Simon Arnold, and Scott Matterson. Lake Orion ultimately did win the invite with a total of 90 points. On the other side, the girls team took 7th place out of 18 competing teams with a combined total of 43 points. Lake Orion also won the girls with a combined total of 100.5 points. Both boys and girls lacrosse teams are looking strong this far. The boys team now hold an overall record of 7-2, an undefeated league record of 5-0. The boys recently took down Stony Creek at home in a blowout score of 13-3. Matthew Pullman with 6 goals of the night. Head coach Sean Regan says freshman Luke Grove and junior Logan Vachon, who had a hat trick that night, both helped Oxford maintain control of the ball. Also, the girls lacrosse team improved their record this last week as well, now standing at an impressive 6-3. To start things off, they took down Avondale 13-1. Avondale standing no chance against our girls. Senior Josie Kane, former athlete of the week, had 4 goals on the night, followed by junior Chloe Schultz and freshman Megan Albin, both girls also bringing 2 points each for the Wildcats. Staying on the topic of our girl athletes, the girls softball team swept Troy Athens and split with Rochester Adams. The first game of the doubleheader against Athens, their girls crushed them to a final score of 11-0. Freshman pitcher Olivia Makarowitz playing a key role in the team's success, also splitting the series against Adams, winning game 1 6-1 and falling in the second match 7-6, a close game. The girls played great this week, narrowing in on their losing record, now standing at 4-5. And last but certainly not least, the girls tennis team took down 2 more schools this week with a big win over Ferndale, 8-0 shutout. We faced a tougher challenge against Southfield. However, the girls still came out on top with a 5-3 win. The girls dominated singles with seniors Ashlyn Foreman and Rowan Edmonds and sophomore Olivia Thaler all winning their matches in 2 sets. And that's going to do it for this week's report. For any more info on these events and more, go to oxfordathletics.org. There's plenty of game breakdowns, statistics, schedules, rosters, all more right there for you to check out. Once again, that is oxfordathletics.org. While you're at it, might as well check us out. That is occtv.org. All of our coverage of these events and more can be found on our YouTube page, which you can access through the website. Once again, that is occtv.org. That's going to do it for this week's report. I want to thank you all for watching and remind you all to tune in next time. But until then, I'm Cody Wright. Go Wildcats.
This spring on OCTV, your home for all Wildcat sports.
Weekdays 4 to 6:30 and weekends 12:30 to 6:30.
OCTV Sports, where it's more than just about the score.
Welcome to this edition of Auto Talk. I'm Dave Kenny, and these stories are taken from the publication Automotive News. In our first story, the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety said April 25th it's using data from front crashes that result in injuries to backseat passengers to develop a new front crash test that evaluates crash protection for both front and rear seat passengers. Automakers must do more to protect backseat passengers from death and serious injuries in severe crashes, the Institute says. And the organization, funded by insurance companies, studied 117 crashes where backseat occupants were killed or seriously injured. In those accidents, IHS says the 22 injuries and 17 of the 37 fatalities resulted from chest trauma. Test crashes are being conducted this year, and IHS is urging automakers to deploy some of the same technologies used for front seat passengers in the rear seat of vehicles. 2 items the Institute cited are seatbelt pretensioners, which tighten around the body at impact, and force limiters, which allow the belt webbing to unwind slightly as the forward motion of a body pulls against the belt in a collision. This is a big reason why force limiters usually go hand in hand with crash tensioners, says Jessica Germankian, an Institute lead researcher. With a crash tensioner, a person is held firmly against the seat from the beginning of the crash, so a slight loosening of the belt from the force limiter isn't a big problem. Another way automakers can improve rear seat occupant safety, IHS says, is to equip vehicles with seatbelt airbags. They were pioneered by Ford in 2011 and are now used on Mercedes-Benz vehicles. Additional airbags that deploy from the roof and prevent a rear seat occupant from smashing into the back of the front seat could also reduce injuries, the Institute says. We're confident that vehicle manufacturers can find a way to solve this puzzle in the back seat just as they were able to do so in the front, the Institute President David Harkey said. Manufacturers have put a lot of work into improving protection for drivers and front seat passengers. In our next story, touted as the tailgate to end all tailgates, GMC's MultiPro tailgate is the Swiss Army knife installed into the rear of the Sierra full-size pickup. It's not just about technology, it's about usability and real innovation, says Duncan Aldred, Vice President of Global GMC. For anyone who uses a pickup truck bed, it's going to make their lives a lot easier. The MultiPro tailgate has an inner tailgate that's part of the main gate and can fold out and down. The inner gate also has a load step feature to help keep cargo in the bed when the tailgate is down. It can also be used as an exterior table while keeping the main tailgate up. Both of the gates are released by the buttons in the tailgate handle. The MultiPro tailgate is standard on the SLT, AT4, and Denali trims for the Sierra 1500. GMC will feature it on the 2020 GMC Sierra HD models, which will go on sale late this summer. GMC probably will eventually share the flexible system with the Chevrolet Silverado siblings, but General Motors has not confirmed those plans. The concept is already spurring on competitors. Fiat Chrysler Automobiles NV in February announced it will introduce a 60-40 split multifunctional tailgate for its 2019 Ram 1500. It is expected to be available in the second quarter at an additional cost of $995. An optional center step will cost $295. And on the recall front, Fiat Chrysler Automobile said April 19th it is recalling more than 320,000 Dodge Dart compact cars in North America that could roll away because of a defective part that could allow the shift cable to detach from the transmission. FCA said the recall covers 2013 to 2016 model year automatic transmission Dodge Dart cars, and the defect could prevent drivers from shifting vehicles into park. The company said it is not aware, of any crashes or injuries related to the issue, but has several thousand reports of related repairs to vehicles. The company said a cable bushing may degrade after prolonged exposure to high ambient heat and humidity. The company said owners should make sure they shut off the vehicle and engage the parking brake. Fiat Chrysler will replace the transmission side shifter cable bushing, the company said, but the company did not indicate when repairs will be ready. The recall covers about 298,000 U.S. vehicles, over 20,000 in Canada, and 3,400 in Mexico, and about 900 outside North America. Well, that's it for this edition of Auto Talk. I'm Dave Kenny, and as always, may the wind be at your back as you cruise down Life's highways.